What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football. We talk football year-round. If you're into that, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. It's on the thumbnail. Is the U back? Do we get to talk about Miami as if it was 24 years ago? And the U was everything that we wanted and everything we wanted to be? Is it the 90s again, where Miami and Florida State are good? Dare I say, bordering on great. They're both, at least for me, going to be top 25 programs on Tuesday if AP voters got any sense at all. Get in a little bit of my top 25 a little bit later on. And winners and losers from this all-important week one and raucous week one of college football. Remember, we still got one more game left to play. I always love Labor Day weekend for us. It is the time when our sports gets to shine most in the regular season. Then we get our rivalry weeks. Then we get our playoff. And this is a great way to start. Nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing about who's great and who's merely good. Nobody knows nothing about who is okay and who is absolutely dog crap. But we're going to get there. And we're going to get there pretty quickly. As you can see, we are doing this live. And if you are watching us live, thank you so much for joining us here. We do this after big post games, Saturday nights, Sunday nights, Monday nights coming soon, and Thursday nights, Friday nights as we need to. This is what the show is about. This is what A&R is. We are doing live post game reaction. We're doing, well, some of my favorite segments in all of sports, frankly, and how I got started in the business. But let's talk about the game that we all just watched that was outstanding. Number 10 Miami defeats number 6 Notre Dame at a building where Miami is undefeated in season openers. It's really kind of wild that you get to say that about Hard Rock. And Hard Rock did its job tonight. The Orange was showing up. It was really Catholics versus Convicts out there. We got Jimmy Johnson turning the hurricane siren. We got Michael Irvin on the sideline. Hell, I thought at any moment I was going to pop around, see Ray Lewis, Ed Reed out there too, giving everybody the good feelings that we had from the early aughts. Larry Coker, Butch Davis, Miami Hurricanes. You know, I mean, some of us go back to Jimmy Johnson, but many of us just go back to the Dennis Erickson. If you know, you know, right? If you know, you know. I know this. CJ Carr is going to see Ruben Bain in his sleep, dog. Like, I don't know that we thought that defensive line was going to be as good as it was tonight, but big man, fast man, strong man, running right through whatever right tackle you want to put in front of him, making life miserable for CJ Carr, who I think showed some things tonight, right? He's a true freshman that played really, I think, above himself and great at times. Also had some really terrible plays, 2 intentional groundings that I think he would like back, but when it came time to make a play, you could see why Marcus Freeman and Mike Denbrock wanted to have him on the football field and wanted to have him leading their offense on this team. I like what I see. I think he's going to develop into a great player. I don't know that I'm going to call as many quarterback runs with him as they did because that's not Riley Leonard, but you can see that the offense that they were running last year is the one that they really would like to run this year with a little bit more passing to it. As, you know, Marcus Freeman's been loud about this is the best wide receiving core that I've had since I've been at Notre Dame, but it ain't saying much. Because y'all didn't throw the ball almost at all of last year, and you made the national title game with that, right? Jordan Faison, absolute dude. Absolutely amazing dude. Jadarian Price, also absolute dude. Can turn into, I think, one of the better tailbacks in the sport. Or, shall I say, is that actually Jeremiah Love now? Because what Mike Denbrock had said, and what we come to believe from Notre Dame, is that Jeremiah Love was going to be the bell cow and he's going to get the majorities of the carries. We're going to feature him. You didn't do no featuring of Jeremiah Love. Matter of fact, I needed to check. Does Mike Denbrock know that Jeremiah Love plays football for Notre Dame? Because it didn't look like that. The man had all of 9 touches for 21 yards going into the fourth quarter. That can't happen. That can't happen. I realized Jadarian Price was also toting that rock, you know, up and down, and maybe you stick with that. But the way in which they were using the run game and trying to get CJ Carr to be the +1 quarterback, I see the sauce. If you watch Tommy Castellanos and how they beat Alabama, if you are paying attention to really how college football is played at this level. If you got a +1 quarterback that can get you extra yards or get you, that one extra runner against an outnumbered defense, yeah, you take that. But that didn't seem like it was CJ Carr's game. And more than that, you've got what many people believe is the best single tailback in college football for you. So why not just feed him the rock and let him do all the running? That's what we thought was going to happen. It did not occur. On the flip side, we learned two things about the Miami offense that are very important. The first one is Malachi Toney is a dude. That is an absolute dude. Now, we talk a lot about how good football is in South Florida, but that's because football really is that good in South Florida, okay? You talk about American Heritage, you know what time it is. You talk about Miami Northwestern, you know what time it is. You talk about Miami Booker T, you know what time it is. So when people are telling me that the state's best player is Malachi Toney at wide receiver last year, I'm going, oh, all right, cool. I'll bet he shows up and shows out. And that is exactly what he was able to do against this Notre Dame team. I thought if this was going to be a breakout game for somebody, I didn't think it was going to be Malachi Toney, to be quite frank with you. I thought it might be perhaps a Malachi Fields, who was all-world at Virginia, but I thought was going to be more featured in the pass game in the way that Jordan Faison was for Notre Dame. But then Malachi Toney's got 6 catches, 82 yards, and a TD, right? Then C.J. Daniels making that ungodly one-handed catch to finish the first half to give Miami a lead, put them in a spot. I thought for sure that Mario Cristobal was going to find a way to clock manage this game away, to game manage this game away, but it didn't happen, which leads me to the second thing that we learned that is very important about Miami. Georgia didn't have a Carson Beck problem. It didn't. It had a pass catching problem. That ain't him. He throws the passes. Wide receivers got to catch him. He was great tonight. I mean, the stat line is a stat line. It's 20 or 30 for 205 with 2 TDs. It's going to be what it's going to be. But I thought the way in which he was commanding the offense, the way that he liked to use the running backs to get them out in routes, how he took advantage of what Mark Fletcher was able to give him and what Shamar Brown was able to give him, that was great. I mean, 38 rushes for 119 yards is not exactly setting the world on fire. In fact, it's far from it. But when you got the kind of defense that Corey Heatherton put on the field, you get to be a little bit more conservative like they were in the second half of the game. And when they took their foot off the gas, then we had a tie ball game, right? And you had to get back in the in scoring position. I thought, oh my God, if you're leaving it up to Burt Auburn to make a field goal to win this game, you're not going to win this game. And it's like, no, we got to back up. And the backup beat him out, so don't even worry about it. And the backup goes in there, he makes his field goal. And Carter Davis gets to have people know his name on Tuesday when they go back to class and say nice things, as opposed to being Burt Auburn, where he went to class in Texas, they didn't say no nice things. It was like, why you still go here? I thought you withdrew. Should you withdraw? Maybe we should expel you. That's the mood when it is that you're the kicker who has an opportunity to win a big game against a top 10 opponent and you miss the kick. Now, Carter Davis made one miss tonight, but it wasn't on him. It was bad snap, right? It's bad snap, never really got to kick the ball. They also put that down as a field goal miss. I don't understand that. They need to correct that in the scorebook. But 2 for 2 is what I got him at, and 3 for 3 on the extra points. But I have to check up and see what I'll bet the official book fixes this because the stats aren't unofficial until you get the official book. Great win for Miami. I think a program statement win. Mario Cristobal been yelling loudly about, hey, the U is on its way back. You don't understand what the U was like when I was here. And we're going, the U ain't played for no ACC championship in I believe, more than a decade. I know that they were at the division. They won the division a couple years ago with Mark Richt. It's been a while, right? It's been a while since we talked about Miami being worth a damn. And last year, we thought Miami was going to make the college football playoff, and they let Syracuse reach up and snatch that away from them right when they had it there. I think if Miami makes the ACC championship game, do they beat that Clemson team? Maybe, maybe not. But they would have made the ACC championship game. Now it feels like they're right there. It's theirs, right? With the performance that Clemson put in against LSU yesterday and the performance that Miami put in against Notre Dame today, I think many people would give the edge to Miami with this. Both of those teams had home field advantage. Both of those teams are playing teams that are expected to make the playoffs. LSU, they're all in on making the playoff this year. Clemson made it last year basically over Miami's dead body, right? Like if Miami doesn't lose that game, they don't make the title game. They certainly don't win the title game. They certainly don't get to play in the playoff in the 12 team. I think all these things are working for good for Miami. They just got to stay healthy and keep that defensive line as destructive as it was. Outstanding job that team did. And I was very impressed. I was not prepared to be impressed by what Miami's defense was doing, but they were aggressive. They came after people. They had their hands on folks. They had 3 sacks of the quarterback, 2 turnovers, and they limited Notre Dame to a total of 314 yards. Outstanding performance for them. I think we can say, yeah, I'll say it. The U is kind of back. It's kind of back. They beat the top 16, right? I think they're going to move up in the rankings. This is a top 5 Miami team. I'm not so sure. I'm not sure. As we get to my top 25, which will come out very soon, I have to actually wrestle with this thought, right? It's how far down do I drop Notre Dame? How far up do I move Miami? I'm sure that there's a Miami fan out there that believes with all their heart that Miami is the number 1 team in the country. I'm here to tell you, brother, no, you're not. No. I need you. You're going to have to do a little bit more to get to number 1 for me, and other people have to look a little bit worse for you to get to number 1 for me. But you're moving up. And as long as you keep moving up, you'll eventually get there. As for Notre Dame, okay, cool. This is a better loss than the one you had against Northern Illinois. You still made the playoff. You're still in it. You're still very much in it. CJ Carr is going to develop. Mike Denbrock's going to get talking to from Marcus Freeman about how many times we hand the ball off to Jeremiah Love every time and how many touches he gets. And your defense is going to learn from its mistakes as much as they made them. It's really your offensive line that I thought was lacking. But that's it. That's all. You could do nothing with that defensive front that Mario Cristobal put out in front of you. That Corey Heatherton looked at Ruben Bain, all 6'6", 270 pounds of him, and said, "Hey, dog, that's food over there. Go eat." I said, food. It's like Notre Dame's offensive line landed on Planet Hulk. And they were met with the question, is it a fighter or is it food? And it was like, I'm just passing through. And the Hurricane said, it is food. And it went to work. And it went to eating them. Let's also remember the national championship game is in Miami this year. It is at the Hard Rock this year. How cool would it be if the Miami Hurricane could make the national championship game this year and get to play a de facto home game against whoever it might be? Georgia, Texas, Ohio State. I don't think it's going to be Penn State because Penn State can't beat no top 5 teams. We'll see. It could be it or Oregon. Ooh, that's juicy. Juicy, I tell you. On the way out here, did y'all pay attention to the fades that Mark Carson Beck had? The fade that CJ Carr had? Y'all see that? I'll tell y'all right now, their barber ain't asking them, do you use a 1 or a 3 or a 7 on your head? They said, let me get that taper fade for you, bro. I got you. On the flip side, let's do some winners and losers from week 1. And I got to tell y'all, it ain't a football team that I got at 1. It's a person. Back on Adapt and Respond with me, RJ Young. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Does Paul Feinbaum owe you an apology? Does he? Does he? I would like to know. Normally, I don't look at other folks in my business and come at them for their opinions. It's an opinion. And even the opinion that you got is an opinion. But when you step out the way that Paul Feinbaum stepped out, and the results are the results, you got to believe that the audience can't wait to see your show. Shout out to Feinbaum, who's going to have some really great ratings when he does his show during the week, because my man stepped out on First Take and said with a straight face, he said, Texas is going to blow out Ohio State. I don't even think it's going to be close. Okay, that's one miss. Then he apparently made some bet about Florida State and Bama, picking Bama, and Florida State won. So that's 2 misses. Normally, if you make that kind of an egregious, that kind of absurd, comically wrong take, people tune in on your next show to see what you're going to say. And if you're smart about it, and he is, you will make people watch the entire show before you address that. and then you might address it for 30 seconds on the way out, right? That's what normally happens. In my neck of the woods, right, we have a local sports talk host who was claiming forever that Tiger wouldn't win a 19th major. Well, turns out Tiger won a 19th major, and that was one of the most listened to broadcasts here locally for a very long time. I expect when we look at how Texas lost to Ohio State and we look at how Bama lost to Florida State, we feel that the loss to Florida State from Bama is way more upsetting for the fan base than the Texas one Ohio State, okay? Texas came in as the number one, ain't one place to go if you lose that game. They're playing the AP number 3, the coach's number 2, my number 2. They took a 7-point loss. They didn't look good offensively, but neither did Ohio State. Both those teams look credible defensively. Ohio State bowed up on goal line situations and held Texas to 1 of 5 on 4th down. Arch Manning looked shook because, quite frankly, it's his first start against real competition, let alone the defending national champs. It happens. Julian Sayin just didn't make the mistakes that Arch Manning did. He played winning football, which is the take there. Ohio State played winning football in a game that felt like it could be the national championship and still could be the national championship game. That's how good both of those teams are and how good those defenses looked. But Bama? Good Lord. Bama fans are about to come unglued about this Kalen DeBoer experience. And you remember, that's Feinbaum's backyard there. He came up as a columnist, Tuscaloosa News. He did the radio show in Birmingham for WJOX, where it is the station for Tide football. And his rise coincides with Nick Saban at 2007, doing Nick Saban stuff all the way up until he retires last year. Kalen DeBoer is not a dude that impressed Feinbaum. I know this because I've listened to him speak about this, right? So now we have a Bama team that came in as a number 8 team in the country, playing an unranked Florida State. A Florida State's coming off a 2-10 season, a Florida State that got overhauled and restructured. Overhauled offensively, defensively, fired the offensive coordinator, fired the defensive coordinator, jettisoned the quarterback, brought in a new quarterback. Restructured Mike Norvell's contract, where the only thing that feels cool about it is that he got a $55 million buyout if things go bad. Then Tommy Castellanos gets up in front of everybody and says, I can't wait to play Bama. Nick Saban ain't here to save them no more. To which I was like, oh, word? We're doing this to Bama? And I made the same mistake many people did too. That Tommy Castellanos went out here and corrected for all of us so that we don't need to make this mistake anymore. This is not Nick Saban's Bama. This is the Bama that Bama fans remember when Oklahoma was running things. This is Ashula's Bama. This is the dude you fire after Gene Stallings' Bama. This ain't that Bama. And I realize that I'm speaking to a generation that is younger than me when I tell y'all there was a time, and I remember it well, when we didn't care nothing about no Alabama. We were scared of Alabama like people are scared of Nebraska now, which is to say you're not. You're like, hey, it'd be cool if they were okay. It'd be cool if they were good. Nobody's scared of Nebraska. And that's what happened to Bama now. With Tom Osborne, with going out, people like, yeah, is Tom Osborne leaving? No. They went through Frank Solich and they went through Bo Pelini before they got to garbage. Bo Pelini had it going the way that it should have been going. And then they decided to get him up out of there, and they go into, hello, darkness, my old friend. That's where they go, right? And that's where they had been. Matt Rule trying to bring them up out the mud now and earn it through the Big Ten, which is still wild to say. I contend that Nebraska became this Nebraska when they changed from their origin to the new money. They moved from North Tulsa to South Tulsa and thought they were somebody different. No. We know who you are, and them folks from South Tulsa are going to treat you like where you from. The best thing you could have done was just take that money that you was going to use to go buy that house in South Tulsa and buy that house in Gilcrease Hills. But no, you need to be living over there next to Holland Hall. You need to be living over there next to Bixby. You got to go to the one town, one high school communities. TPS ain't good enough for you. And now you're getting treated like that. Okay? That's what happens. I think Bama, though, man, it's worse for them because they didn't change nothing. The furniture around them changed, but they're the structure. They're the thing that the SEC is built on. Its mystique is built on Bama, right? Like, Auburn was good, RJ. Florida won 2 national championships. LSU been in there. Georgia got good. Georgia always been good. They just got great because it's sleeping giant forever. I get it. I understand. I get what you're saying here. But I look at this Bama thing and I think it's a DeBoer thing. So it used to be, we thought of Bama as a dynasty. It used to be, you saw the tide and you were appropriately afraid because you understood what Nick Saban on that sideline meant. And it wasn't so much Nick Saban, it's all the dudes that Nick Saban brought in. We made rules to stop Nick Saban doing Nick Saban stuff, right? The oversigning rules, the headset rules. He's the guy that got up in front of everybody and said, do y'all really want us to be playing football without being able to get a defense subbed on the field? Is that what y'all want? When people were whooping his ass with that, with Johnny Manziel and Hugh Freeze. And what did he do? He went and got him one of them offensive coordinators, got him one of them quarterbacks, and started whooping everybody's ass with that. That's the kind of dude that he was. He was going to find a way to win. He was going to claw, fight, whatever it had. I'll never forget thinking to myself, oh, this man does not care how he wins the football game. Because when he got started at Bama, the Heisman winner is a tailback, Mark Ingram, okay? By the time he left Bama, the Heisman winner is a wide receiver. And you got to remember, Nick Saban does not like to throw the football. He wants to play defense and run the ball so he controls every aspect of it. But when you have a man that says, you know what, give me Blake Sims, give me Jalen Hurts, give me Tua Tagovailoa, let me get the 4 best wide receivers on one football team this side of Jamar Chase, Terrace Marshall, Thad Moss, God, dog, and Justin Jefferson, and let me put them on one squad. Remember with Calvin Ridley, Henry Ruggs, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, Jerry Jeudy? Hell, that's 5. They all went there because he decided he needed to win. That ain't Kalen DeBoer's bag. Now, it's over. It's over. You know what? Maybe it was over last year because they got over to a 4-0 start where we're thinking, okay, same old. Number 1 team in the country. They take down Georgia. And then they got embarrassed by Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt. Okay. You're number 1 team in the country. You go on the road. You lose to Vanderbilt. You don't make the SEC championship. You lose to a bad Oklahoma. And you've lost back-to-back games for the first time since 2013. Remember, they lost that game to Michigan in the Reliant Quest Bowl. Now they lost this game to Florida State, which means they've lost 2 games to unranked opponents. That was a feat. Remember? People didn't do that to Bama. Unranked opponents? No. Bama doesn't lose to dudes with no numbers. Now, that's just what it is. If you got a Power 4 team, they're capable of beating Bama. Kentucky thinks they can get them. A&M knows they can get them. Auburn can't wait to play them. Vanderbilt going, we 1-0 against y'all in the Kalen DeBoer era. I wouldn't be able to live under them circumstances. Some things would have to change. I sent this post on X last night, and I wonder how true it might have been because I was thinking Kalen DeBoer might be coming home to 4 sale signs at his yard. They petty like that in Tuscaloosa. Hell, they petty like that in Oklahoma. It's the South. Anywhere that is culturally the South is going to be that kind of petty. It ain't just what you've seen for Gary Gaines and Billy Bob Thornton on Friday Night Lights. People be doing that. They showing up to your house because you're playing with their family. You're playing with their birthright. You're playing with the only thing in the world that they give a damn about. Remember, they got a dude that was so Bama that he went down to Auburn, poisoned trees, and did time for it. That ain't the place where you want to be losing football games. It's not. And you coming out here to say to people after you lost the way you lost to Florida State, I still think we got a good football team, ain't what people want to hear. That ain't what they want to hear. It might be true, but ain't what people want to hear. What they want to hear is, it's my fault. I did it. Come after me. Slings and arrows over here. Tie your hands behind your back. Let people get their licks in because that's the only way that this is going to get a little bit better in the interim because you still got an SEC schedule you got to play. And Florida State, as good as they are, will be a top 25 team for me. That ain't no SEC schedule over there. That's Tommy Castellanos with some get back. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? That ain't Megatron over there. You know what I'm saying? That's little man who be in that TikTok talking about I can't even say it. Sorry. Had this room been blacker, I'd let y'all know what he said. But you just have to go look it up. Got to look it up. Because kids be watching this, and I got to take care of our Caucasian brothers and sisters as well. But that child had me falling out because daddy was trying to get him to say Megatron. And that boy just wouldn't say it. That's who Florida State is. They that little boy over there. What you about to have to go play is the black man that came up on DBZ in the SEC. You know what I'm saying? It's about to be me and Daquan Wilshire on your schedule. That's what you up against. That's the rest of your schedule, dog. You don't want it with us. Well, we know every bit of Kakarot's BS story. We know that we vibe with Vegeta. Even as we get older, we the dude wearing the pink. We trying to find our Bulma. That's where the SEC is. They grown. They got kids. They got old man strength. You got beat down by the little man that can't say Megatron. I can't help you with that. I can't help you with that. Now, the program, again, I mentioned this, had been 119-1 before the Kalen DeBoer experience. Now, the Kalen DeBoer experience, 119-1 against the unranked opponents. They're 6-4 against unranked opponents. Nick Saban was something like 131-2 against teams where Alabama was favored by 14 or more. They were favored by 14 or more against Florida State. Now they're 4-4 in the Kalen DeBoer era. I need Paul Feinbaum to answer for all of this. That's it. I'm sure you do too, because I want to be entertained. The man gets to have his takes. He does. He has worked very hard to get the show. He does a great job with the show. He hung it out on this one. He sent it. He sent it, left it out there, and he ended up like Ferrari at the Dutch Grand Prix. Ain't nobody finished the race. Ain't nobody finished the race. Lewis, get out of that car. Charles, get out of that car. Damn, he gonna go to Monza with a 5-place grid penalty. Speeding in pit lane. I hate this year. I hate this year so much for my mans. I hate it so much. You know what? I don't know who's having a worse day. Fans of Ferrari, a.k.a. Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, or fans of friggin' Alabama. It's dead heat. I'm not kidding. I was so down bad after all that. I needed to come in here to talk about what Notre Dame and the Catholics and the Convicts was going to do to make myself feel better. We're going to get to one more winner here that I think is understated. Just on the way out, it's Utah. Don't be surprised if you continue to hear people talk well about Utah, because unlike many national analysts, I stayed my black ass up watching all the games, which means that I watched all of Utah UCLA that kicked off at 11 Eastern. And I watched Devin Dampier be the dude he is against a Big Ten program. The dude that everybody thought Nico Iamaleava was is the guy Devin Dampier is. Against UCLA, Devin Dampier, let me make sure I get this right. 21-25 for 206 pass yards, 2 tutties through the air. Also was their best rusher with 87 yards on the ground. They rushed for 286 yards against UCLA last night. They also beat them 43-10. And I wondered, when's the last time I saw a Utah team put up 40 on a Power 4 football team? You got to take it all the way back to November 4, 2023. They dropped 55 on Arizona State's skull as the number 18 team in the country. That's how long ago it was. Now, Jason Beck and Devin Dampier, they got themselves, oh man, they cooking with gas. They cooking with great hot fish grease. Hot fish grease. You're going to get, that Big 12 might get topsy-turvy. 293 total yards this man had. If Utah ends up being the kind of team I think they can end up being based on this performance that we saw last night, it's not about them just making a Big 12 championship. It's about Devin Dampier entering the Heisman race. I'm not kidding. Like, at this rate, we're talking about a guy that could probably go for 3,000, 1,000 if they get a little bit bent. We don't know what they have at wide receiver, not really, because they didn't get to showcase that as much. But we know they can run the football, and we know that Morgan Scalley and Kyle Whittingham are going to have a defense that can go. That makes them monstrous. It does. Now, another way of putting this is Kansas State took Iowa State to the wall in Dublin, right? Iowa State beats South Dakota 55-7, stays a top 25 team. Kansas State need to come back late, I tell you, to beat North Dakota. If we thought that Iowa State and Kansas State were the class teams in the Big 12, What do we do with Utah now, knowing what they did against UCLA? Either UCLA is garbage and awful, which, okay, maybe, could be, or we have severely underestimated what Utah is capable of. But now I got data, right? When I ranked them in my 136, I didn't have this data. I got data now. I get to see what this man has done in that red in that Salt Lake City. I get to see it now, right? I understand it's Utah. I understand the fan base ain't that big. I understand they don't really move the needle. Hell, Utah might have a same size fan base as Boise State at this point, right? Because that's how we think of them. We think of them as a Mountain West school, even as they were in the Pac-12 and they're in the Big 12. That's how we think of them. They keep moving up like they are. We talk about turning around. They won 8 games in 2023. They won 5 games in 2024. The last time they won 10, they made the Rose Bowl, right? Now, that's the Cam Rising year where he blew out his knee again, and Penn State and Drew Allar were able to beat them. That's it, right? I think as we get closer and closer to finding out who's for real in the Big 12, we're going to see more Utah climbing the ranks. Kansas got a big one, or is it Kansas State? Maybe Kansas. I think Kansas got a big one against Missouri. Let me check on air so that I don't go ahead and mess this one up, because I'm sure that somebody would be in the comments talking about, is Kansas State or is Kansas? All right, dog, I get it. I understand. Let me make sure I get this right. So Kansas State got Army. Ooh, damn. Who coming off a loss to Tarleton State where they put money in the bag. Ooh, Lord. They better win that football game. Meanwhile, Army might just go back to being Army. 12 wins last year, high watermark. I don't know if they're going to get to keep that. Bama gets ULM. First, what was the last team at one point to have beaten Alabama as an unranked opponent. That's kind of funny. That's really funny, actually, now that we think about it. Austin P. Where's Missouri got? Who's Missouri got? Kansas. Yeah, I was right. So it's Kansas versus Missouri, 2-0 versus 1-0. That ought to be a really fun game. You're going to see a lot of people talk about that because the slate is booty. Outside of Oklahoma, Michigan, it's really like that. Like, it's Kansas, Missouri is going to be one of the highlights, along with Iowa, Iowa State. Because, week 2 is always kind of soft because week 1 always gets hard and fast. And, well, you know what time it is. It's getting late. That's because I'm already starting to make those jokes. Means I probably should stop, guys. So I'm going to before I go get myself in trouble. All right. If you like Adapt and Respond and you like the live show, please tell me that in the comments below. Remember that we have the audio podcast. If you would like to listen to it on your drive to work, commute to work, or with your Labor Day barbecue, you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on Apple. And I am still sending out these stickers to anybody that is cool enough to leave me a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, telling me what you like about the show. Just fill out the form in the description of the video at the bottom, and I'll send you your sticker. Just give me the 5-star review, headed toward 500 ratings on that, headed toward 138,000 subscribers on this here channel. Ought to be a very good time as we head into week 2 of the college football experience. And let's see if we got some things to say about Texas Christian and Bill Belichick. I'm going to put this up. Bill Belichick getting his first game as a Power 4 head coach against Texas Christian. Deion Sanders got his first game as a Power 4 head coach against Texas Christian. Deion Sanders won that game. Let's see what Bill Belichick does. All right. I'll catch you on the flip side. Doses.